Hello everyone, my name is Brian Hennessy and I'm an Employee Assistance Officer with the Civil Service Employee Assistance Service, CSEAS for short, and we're attached to the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform. The topic for this morning will be health and well-being. Going over, I was thinking about health and well-being and how it's been over the years that the focus has been mainly on health. In recent times now we're beginning to think about our own well-being, and so in relation to what will be presented to you today, I suspect that you will know some of it, particularly in the area of health, and we'll kind of put a little bit more emphasis on well-being. But even with the things that you know, I think it's no harm in having a reminder of the sort of things you should be doing to stay healthy. So we combine these two topics and we have health and well-being. What does it actually mean? That's the question. Most of the research would suggest that it's a balanced wellness, and a balanced wellness with three components. You would have input, diet and nutrition, then you have the output, the exercise that we have to engage in to stay healthy. Interesting, not so long ago, I lent my son the car, and he travelled down the country in it, and I got a phone call from him saying that the car would not go. And the reason the car would not go was he had filled it full of petrol into a diesel car. So, you know, if you put the wrong fuel into a car, it can have catastrophic results. The car would not go, and we have to have the car towed all the way home. And I suppose in relation to some of the foods that we would be ingesting into our bodies, it's unlikely that it would have a catastrophic effect in the way filling a tank full of the wrong fuel will have. But at the same time, we have to consider the cumulative effect over months and years and decades, and the effect that can have on our body. The third component in all of this is mental health. This is the control room, really, of who we are. The control room that sends the signals down to alert us to eat, to sometimes encourage us to exercise, or on occasion sometimes to discourage us from engaging in some exercise. So the mental health component is probably the most important of the three. They're all necessary, but I'm not sure that the bottom two will actually function to any great effect if you haven't got the mental component on board. Here's a list of words I just put together on a rainy afternoon, and I think all of them in some way are related to health and well-being. But really the question I'd have for you, if you were just to pick one single word, what might that word be? And the word that I would come up with is happy. We as human beings strive to be happy. There's the instant gratification happy that we like to have, you know, a new car, new clothes, a holiday, a meal, going out with friends, that's the instant gratification. But then we also require happiness at a deeper level. Martin Seligman, who was a psychologist back in the late 90s, began to pioneer the field of positive psychology. He was really curious as to what were the sort of things that people could do that would give them that deeper sense of happiness, that would enable them to, as he called it, flourish, that would help them develop in positive ways. Up to then, the field of psychology was mainly focused on people with mental health problems and difficulties. So he just moved the focus away somewhat and was anxious and began to experiment in ways in which we as human beings could develop a real sense of well-being and happiness. The term that he used was subjective well-being. So if for some reason I mention SWB in the course of this presentation, it will be in reference to subjective well-being. I'll just read you just a few lines from his book, his first book, that is Authentic Happiness. And it's just emphasised that his approach to the topic was to find things that were empirically and scientifically proven to work. So this was a change from a lot of the pop psychology that was there in the past, a lot of the anecdotal concepts about being happy. And this is what he said in his book. He says, "The appeal of what I write is the fact that it is grounded in careful science. That is, statistical tests, validated questionnaires, thoroughly researched exercises, and large representative samples. In contrast to pop psychology and self-improvement books, my writings are believable because of the underlying science." So they're based on scientific principles. A lot of the studies that he conducted were in the very large companies in America, places like Coca-Cola, where he could take large representative samples and get them to engage in the various interventions that he thought would be useful and beneficial to improve a person's SWB, their subjective well-being. And indeed, if you go online, and probably the best place to look at some of this would be under Authentic Happiness Seligman. And on his Positive Psychology website, you'll find a lot of psychometric tests where you can actually check out your own SWB. Where do you come in on the scale of 1 to 10? Normally, now it'll always fluctuate from day to day, but generally, where would you rate? So, I suppose the real burning question then is, what is it that actually makes us happy? Okay, I talked about the instant gratification stuff, like, winning a prize or, going out with friends. But a deeper sense of happiness, that SWB, what are the sort of things that would make us happy? Seligman suggests the 4 Ps, okay? Pleasure, as in being able to engage in things that are fun, games, hobbies, anything that creates pleasure inside of us. If you engage in something that you find pleasurable, there's a chemical in your brain called dopamine that gets released down into the body, which actually creates feelings of pleasure. So pleasure would be one of the P's that he considered as being really important. And the second one then would be passion. Having things in your life that you can be passionate about, that when you actually engage in them, that you become totally absorbed in what it is that you're doing. My wife likes to paint. She does that on a regular basis, usually Sundays being her day when she can really afford a good bit of time. And it wouldn't be unusual for me to have to remind her in the course of the day to come down and have something to eat. Such is the level of absorption that she has in what she's doing. Purpose. We all need some sort of purpose or meaning in our lives. And that's going to differ from person to person. Interestingly, some of my clients, when they'd be talking to them, when they find themselves in a state of deep depression, often that's the thing they would say to me, that they've no purpose or meaning in their lives. And of course the challenge then is to actually find some purpose, help them find meaning, bring it back into their lives. The fourth one then would be people. So that phrase, no man is an island, no person is an island. We all need to be able to relate and share with other people. I was watching a program there very, very recently, a Discovery Channel program on prisons in the United States. Pretty harsh environments and very, very strict in application of the rules. But the sanction that was imposed on prisoners if they chose to step out of line or break the rules, regardless of how big the misdemeanor was, they got 12 months solitary confinement. And it was 12 months of no contact with another human being. The nearest contact you'd have would be a prison officer sliding food or whatever other necessities you needed under your door. So the penal system in America considers it to be the ultimate sanction to to deprive another human being of contact and being able to relate to other humans.